If you are watching me now, it's because of divine providence. And the Bible speaks to divine providence. In Romans 8:28, it says, God works all things together for good for those who love him. And how does he work things together? Through divine providence. And Joseph's life is an excellent example of how God used divine providence to turn what was meant for bad into good. And the same thing with Esther. The Bible really doesn't talk about God in the book of Esther, but his hand is upon the entire chapter in the actions of the people in the story. And I think the first time I ran into it, I think I was probably in second grade or third grade, second grade. And we had the school play. And as I was going through this school play, I realized I dreamed about what I was currently doing about 2 weeks before. And I got hit with this feeling of déjà vu. And I've experienced that throughout my lifetime, but that was the first time I recognized it. And I assumed that that was God just showing me what's going to happen next. And it was kind of scary in a way. I remember also about that time, I had a test the next day, and I prayed to God that I could have a snow day so that I could get an extra day to get ready for the test I wasn't ready for. And sure enough, even though the weather forecast wasn't for bad weather, we had enough snow to get a snow day. And so I found that interesting too, because I realized that we have the ability to ask God for his divine providence, and he can come through with it. It's his choice. And as a young man, I learned something I called the numbers game. And you read about this online in certain places. Numbers like 369. My dad died on 3609. It's interesting. That's a rabbit hole if you want to search those numbers. There's a lot of interesting stuff there. But mine was Friday the 13th. On Friday the 13th, I went to boot camp. And it was company 013. And there was 13 people that went to what's called after training death. There were 13 black people in that company. We had a guy in rack number 1313 born on Friday the 13th. I was in rack number 1316. My sister was born on Friday the 13th, and my dad was born on Friday the 13th. And that was just the start of it. And for the next 6-8 months, the same numbers kept repeating over and over and over again. And I finally realized, that God was confirming things in my life that led to a spiritual awakening and near-death experience that showed me what God's purpose was, not only in my life, but the entire world. So I had at that point an understanding of that, but then I ran into another friend about 10 years later, and he taught me about fleeces. Fleeces is something Gideon did. When he wanted to make a decision, he'd put a fleece down and then pray to God, if you want me to go left, have the ground be dry and the fleece be wet from the dew, or vice versa, or whatever it was. And God would supernaturally fulfill his request. I usually try to use divine providence instead of something really supernatural. For example, I switched careers at 57 to become a truck driver. So I prayed to God. I said, God, if you really want me to be a truck driver, have me pass the written test on the first try. And I mean, it was hard. It's not an easy test. And I passed it with 80%, which was right on the mark, which kind of told me that, yeah, he wants me to do that, but it would not be easy. And he was right. It wasn't. And I remember when I was going through my first spiritual awakening, I went to see this movie with a friend called Oh God. And it was right where I was at in my life. I was like the John Denver character in that movie. And it freaked me out. That happened this week also. I was watching a movie, Auto, and it too, it just hits right home. My wife passed away a year ago. And I mean, other than spreading what God has taught me, I really don't have anything keeping me to this world except to try to share the knowledge that I have. And I saw another one this week called Donovan's Echo with Danny Glover. And that same thing, it just nailed me. It absolutely nailed me. And I know that God wanted me to see those movies at this time. And these are just a couple little examples about how God has guided me. But there's not a decision I've made in the last 45 years that I didn't look at the world around me, ask God for confirmation, seek it, and find it. So, I mean, there's no reason for making bad choices and bad decisions. I had a couple different people I talked to and fleeces I put out before I started sharing what I'm sharing with the world. And I know that's what God wants me to do. And, I need to continue on that. I've basically gone over a lot of what I need to go over. I'm probably going to spend time redoing it and re-editing it and getting it back out in a professional manner. And I'm marketing it to the third world right now. And I am trying to lead people to, if they want to follow the Lord, there's a great organization called CityQuake that does training on prophetic in love evangelism. Because you can't evangelize people with fear. It never works. You have to love on them. You have to heal them. You have to, explain that God is here to love and care and guide you. And he doesn't want anything but good for you and good for me. And he leads us, he guides us, he protects us even in the shadow of the valley of death through his divine providence.